We when we first started Founders and Mentors 4 years ago, the very first thing we did was that our colleague Simon found an infographic of 20 reasons why startups fail often in the first few years, and we're just going to have a quick look at the top three today. So, and then maybe think of some examples. So, the number one reason why businesses fail is that there's no market need. So, Bill, can you think of anything that, or any companies that, where that's been a high-profile failure?
Yeah, no market need. The one that came to the top of my head was the Segway vehicle. You still see these around, but usually it's if you take a guided tour of someplace, and so there'll be a bunch of tourists on Segways. But the founders of that company saw a future kind of like the Jetsons, where everybody was going to be moving around on these things, but it really never came to fruition because I'm not sure all the reasons, but I think cost was one of them, and practicality, weight, and some other things like that. So that's the one that comes to the top of my head.
Didn't the founder, it went wrong or something, and he drove one off a cliff? I think that was that was one of the big problems. You couldn't control them properly.
Yeah, I don't think they fly.
I was in Washington D.C. Once going around the Smithsonian, and I think they had some public segways there. That was the only place I ever actually saw them. So yeah. Another example I can think of is a similar kind of thing. Back in the 1980s, there was this famous entrepreneur tech guy called Clive Sinclair, and he invented this thing called the Sinclair C5, which was like a very, very tiny motorbike. If you imagine an electric car, but you shrank it down, to an absolute miniature size, then you'd get one of these things. And the problem was they went at about 10 miles an hour on the road, and nobody could see you, so they were really dangerous. So nobody bought those either. So yeah, it was ahead of its time. I think it was supposed to be like the first electric car back in the 1980s, and it just nobody wanted it. So yeah.